Good evening, America. Welcome back to Watching Washington. I'm Connor Sutterly.
I'm Lindy Spence. Let's take a look at this week's current events. A widespread outbreak of avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, has severely impacted poultry farms nationwide, leading to a significant reduction in egg production. More than 13 million hens have been lost or slaughtered since December as a result of the bird flu outbreak. This mass culling has disrupted the supply chain, causing egg prices to skyrocket and availability to plummet. Industry experts predict that it may take months for poultry farms to recover and stabilize production. Grocery stores and restaurants are feeling the pressure, with many implementing purchase limits on eggs to prevent hoarding. Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average price for a dozen eggs in the U.S. has jumped 50% in the past year. As of mid-January, a dozen eggs cost $5.29, a steep climb from the little over $3.50 per dozen recorded in February of 2024. Customers will now have to pay 50 cents more per egg at the restaurant chain. Waffle House says the surcharge is only in place until egg prices come down. New York Attorney General Letitia James has warned businesses against price gouging, stating that while the bird flu has caused a national shortage, it should not be used as an excuse to raise prices dramatically. While our nation is going to have to continue to grapple with the economic consequences of the egg shortage, efforts are underway to rebuild poultry stocks and stabilize prices.
Following weekend negotiations with the Trump administration, action aimed to improve border security between the U.S. and Mexico has started. About 1,000 Mexican National Guard soldiers are now at their country's northern border. According to the National Guard, the uniformed officers will combat illegal migration and drug trafficking, specifically the movement of fentanyl across northern borders. Earlier this week, Mexico's president pledged to eventually send 10,000 troops to the area. The troops are part of the deal between Mexico and the U.S. to delay new tariffs for a month. If the deal is not upheld, Mexico may face 25% tariffs on goods sent to the U.S. from Mexico.
The White House announced a month-long pause for tariffs on Mexico. This decision came following agreements on trade and security between Presidents Donald Trump and Claudia Sheinbaum. According to the deal, Mexico will position 10,000 National Guard members at the U.S.-Mexico border. The U.S. will respond with efforts to prevent high-powered weapons from being trafficked to Mexico.
President Trump asked me how long we could put the tariffs on hold, and I told him, let's put them on hold permanently. He then asked, well, for how long? And I responded, let's pause them for a month, and I'm confident that in a month, we will deliver results for both his people and Mexico.
The 25% tariffs toward Mexico were scheduled to start Tuesday.
President Donald Trump has announced a controversial plan for Gaza's future. During a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump said the U.S. could own and rebuild Gaza, a plan that could include American troops forcibly removing Palestinians from the area. Netanyahu praised the idea, calling it a strategic move to stabilize the region and rebuild Gaza. However, regional leaders, including those in Jordan and Egypt, are rejecting the plan, warning it could further destabilize the Middle East and cause a humanitarian crisis.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different.
The proposal faces strong pushback from both U.S. lawmakers and international allies. The White House has not yet clarified whether President Trump's comments reflect a formal policy or personal suggestion. Flags in Sweden flew at half-mast Wednesday to mourn those killed in a school shooting a day earlier. Flowers were also placed outside in remembrance of the victims. Police said at least 11 people were killed at a school on Tuesday in what has been described as the worst mass shooting in Sweden's history. The suspected perpetrator also died and was believed to be acting alone. A large number of people were injured after the gunman opened fire at a campus in the city of Örebro in central Sweden, according to the police. Police said that the perpetrator was not known to them before the shooting and that he was not connected to any gang.
President Donald Trump's executive order to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs within the federal government has directly impacted the U.S. Air Force's educational content concerning the Tuskegee Airmen and the Women Air Force Service Pilots, WASPs. In compliance with this directive, the Air Force has temporarily suspended lessons and removed videos that highlight the contributions of these pioneering groups from its basic training curriculum. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African American military pilots who served with distinction during World War II, overcoming significant racial barriers. Similarly, the WASPs were a group of civilian female pilots who flew non-combat missions to free male pilots for combat roles during the same period. Both groups have been integral to military history and have been used in training to promote diversity and inclusion within the ranks.
President Donald Trump's recent executive order targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives has had significant implications beyond the federal government, particularly affecting private companies. The order not only mandates the elimination of DEI programs within federal agencies, but also directs all agencies to enforce civil rights laws and combat what it terms illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, programs, policies, and activities. Costco has defended its DEI programs despite pressure from Republican Attorney General, reaffirming its commitment to diversity and a workforce that represents America. e.l.f. Beauty CEO Tarang Amin stated that diversity is a competitive advantage and integral to the company's success. While Meijer has not made public statements on the executive order, it has historically supported DEI and is likely assessing its next steps. Up next, Elon Musk is in headlines once again.
Also, stay tuned to find out how Starbucks plans to help you recover and celebrate after this week's Super Bowl. Stay with us, more Watching Washington next.
In the 3-year program at Purdue made it easier to say to myself I could get done in 3 years. The 3-year program helped save me a ton of money. Not completing my 4th year, I would save around $30,000. It will give you an advantage, if anything. Doing the 3-year program at Purdue has shown me that I have motivation to do whatever it takes to get my degree.
Hi there, my name is Vikram Jaithlak and I'm the founder and president of the Purdue chapter of the University Blood Initiative. Over the past 2 years, we've been able to collect over 300 pints of blood to be donated to local hospitals, and you can be the next one to help out.
I donate my blood at the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative.
Hi, I just donated blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Right, I donated my blood through the University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
And I donated my blood at University Blood Initiative at Purdue.
Are you looking for a new hobby?
Or you want to have a fun evening with your friends?
Then come climb to new heights at the Co-Rec Climbing Wall.
Football. It's the best time of the year. You know what else is great? The world's largest and fastest mascot. You can't have Purdue football without the trains. Look for the Reamer Club outside Stewart Center, 12 to 5 p.m. on Fridays before home football games, for your chance to ride the Boilermaker Special for free. See you then!
Elon Musk is officially a government employee. A White House official said the world's richest man is serving under President Trump as what's called a special government employee. That means Musk is not a volunteer, but also not a full-time federal worker. Musk, who has an office on the White House campus, has been leading the government efficiency initiative known as DOGE. Under heavy scrutiny, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee are warning to subpoena Musk to testify on the Department of Government Efficiency, but was blocked by committee Republicans.
Let's be very clear. DOGE is not a real government agency. It has no authority to make spending decisions. It has no authority to shut programs down or ignore federal law. To give DOGE a chokehold on Treasury payments is outlandishly dangerous. It's like putting a tiger into a petting zoo and then hoping for the best.
President Donald Trump is set to make history as the first sitting U.S. president to attend a Super Bowl, with plans to be present at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans on February 9th. His attendance underscores the significance of the event and has prompted heightened security measures. In response to the tragic terrorist attack on January 1, where a man drove a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street, resulting in 15 fatalities and numerous injuries, authorities have implemented unprecedented security protocols for the upcoming Super Bowl. The NFL and the Department of Homeland Security have assured that the Superdome will be the safest place to be on game night. Measures include early gate openings, enhanced tactical assets, snipers on rooftops, and the deployment of 450 FBI personnel. Additionally, the Federal Aviation Administration has imposed drone prohibitions and flight restrictions up to 18,000 feet around the Superdome and downtown New Orleans throughout the week of the game.
They have people there actually looking down with binoculars and in some cases like at night vision goggles and things like that, trying to see what they can see on the ground.
We also have a national response team that will be on the ready and on standby, ready to respond if anything should happen. But we bring in resources from all over the country.
Hosting the Super Bowl is expected to provide a significant economic boost to New Orleans, with projections exceeding the $500 million impact from the last Super Bowl held in the city in 2013.
The day after Super Bowl Sunday, you can recover from your late night with a free coffee from Starbucks. Starbucks has announced that on Monday, February 10th, rewards members in the U.S. can stop in for a free 12-ounce hot or iced coffee anytime. The recently renamed Starbucks Coffee Company is rebranding the day after the Super Bowl as Starbucks Monday. If you aren't a rewards member yet, you can sign up by 11:59 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday and still get a freebie through the app. The move comes as the company rebrands after disappointing sales last quarter.
The U.S. Department of Education has laid off dozens of employees related to its diversity, equity, and initiatives efforts. The Department of Education stated in a press release that employees who were leading the department's DEI initiatives have been placed on administrative leave. The department also disbanded its DEI council and archived over 200 websites from pages from its website that contain DEI information and encourage DEI education in businesses and universities. The press release gave no timetable for their return. The move comes in the wake of executive orders which aim to eliminate DEI programs from the government and businesses. CNN spoke with the union representing these employees, and they shared that most of the employees affected have been working for the department for decades. Right now, the union has not shared their plan to combat these layoffs.
With the Super Bowl this Sunday, a new bill in Indiana could give football fans even more reason to celebrate. Lawmakers have introduced legislation to establish American Professional Football Day as an official state holiday, falling on the Monday immediately following the NFL's biggest game of the year. If passed, this would mean state offices and some businesses could close, giving Hoosiers a chance to recover from game day celebrations. Supporters of the bill argue that the Super Bowl has become a national tradition, bringing together millions of Americans for watch parties, festivities, and late-night celebrations. They believe that making the following Monday a state holiday recognizes the cultural significance of the event and gives fans a chance to rest after a long night. Opponents, however, question whether the state should recognize a sports-related holiday, raising concerns about the impact on workplaces and government services. If signed into law, the holiday would take effect on July 1st, 2025. What do you think? Should Indiana make this official? This debate is just getting started, and we'll be watching to see how it unfolds. As we count down to kickoff this Sunday, we'll keep you updated on this developing story.
In the early hours of this morning, a small PHI Air passenger plane lost contact with the ground after takeoff and ended up crashing in a remote suburb, now presumed to have resulted in the deaths of all of those on board. We'll take you through the latest details of the crash and the progress of the rescue operation. On February 6, 2025, at 4:55 a.m., a small PHI Air airliner took off from remote airport on what was scheduled to be a short 1-hour flight. But just 10 minutes after takeoff, the plane lost contact with the ground and subsequently crashed into a suburban area on the edge of Philadelphia. Aerial footage showed the wreckage of the plane strewn across a highway and a huge impact-type crater forming on the ground. Smoke in the air made rescue efforts extremely difficult. The complex terrain and harsh weather conditions at the scene posed a huge challenge to the search and rescue operation. So far, it is tentatively assumed that the accident killed all the people on board, and investigators are making every effort to search for the black boxes to determine the causes of the accident. Preliminary analysis shows that the plane did not send any emergency signals before it was lost, and the cause of the incident is still under further investigation. Rescuers are still struggling to find any possible survivors. Although hopes are slim, we will continue to follow the latest developments in the incident and bring in more findings.
Our in-studio guest this week is Rebecca Siener.
The full interview just ahead on Washing Washington.
The Center for C-SPAN, which is this organization, the CCSC, what we do is we facilitate like a bunch of organizations, different programs for Brian Lamb, which is the founder of C-SPAN. Anyone can be part of CCSC, whether it be through our various internships, our competitions, just to be involved, even like our student community meetings that we have every week. Anyone can go, you don't have to be communications or poli-sci. You just meet so many people, the connections you make is kind of crazy, the range that CCSC has. So yeah, it's just provided me so many opportunities to like kind of achieve the goals I have personally and forward to like whatever career paths I choose.
So I am the president of the ski club. I'm pretty decent at skiing, I would say, but I still am cautious and reserved when I ski. And Copper, one of the other officers, was like, we're hitting this today. The last day, we're gonna do it, and you're gonna come up with me. He really convinced me, and we got to the top of the lift, and as we were going up the lift was literally like this. Then we get to the top, and I was angry. We're looking over this ridge and you can't see where the hill goes. You're looking over the edge and you don't see anything. Once I got over that little ridge and I was able to kind of see where I was going, once I got to the bottom, it was like a great accomplishment. If you want to have the time of your life, definitely check out Purdue Ski and Snowboard Club.
Baseball in general is just a fun group of guys that we're looking to play baseball at the next level, and it's a fun way to have some people come together and play a game we like. The guys that are a nice fit to the team as well as good at baseball, so that's really a big piece of the puzzle to joining the team, and you can get a lot of information just reaching out.
The program allows students to finish their bachelor's degree and also get an online master's degree that overlap during their last year at Purdue.
Students can more quickly work towards a graduate degree while concurrently starting their professional careers.
The online program allows them to kind of go at their own pace, and so they're not having to abide by the academic calendar.
And our goal is that this would make you even more compelling for your next opportunity in the workforce.
Rebecca Siener, a representative of Purdue Student Government, is here to talk to us about a law all college students and their loved ones should be watching out for. Let's go into Sophie in the studio with our guest this week.
Thank you. That's right. I've got Rebecca Siener with me today. She's a vice president of Purdue Student Government. Thank you for being here with me to discuss the Indiana Lifeline Law and the push to expand it. My first question, can you explain what the Indiana Lifeline Law is?
Yeah, of course. So the Indiana Lifeline Law provides amnesty from arrest or prosecution to those seeking medical attention for underage drinking, right? So let's say you and I are underage drinking, right? And I call for you. I, as the caller, am protected, but you, as the person in need of medical attention, are not protected to this day. I, as the caller, am protected. You are not. So I may hesitate because I don't want to get you in trouble. So we, as student government, are trying to get protection for you, the person in need of medical attention.
Got it. So I understand that that's behind the push to expand this law. What's the current status of the expansion?
Yeah, so the current status of the expansion, okay. So we went to we testified at the Senate committee a couple weeks ago. So it was assigned to the Corrections and Criminal Law Senate committee. We testified there. It passed unanimously, 9-0. And then this past Tuesday, we went to the Senate and it passed the Senate. The vote was 43 to 6 to, there was one absence. So,
wow.
Yes.
Now I understand this has bipartisan support.
Yes.
Which lawmakers have you been working with to help get this expansion passed, and what kind of support have you received?
Yeah, so Senator Alting, the representative for the Lafayette area, he's the one who authored the bill. We've also been working alongside Senator Pohl, Senator Deary, and a variety of senators. Currently, we have 3 authors, we have 14 co-authors, and right now we have 3 sponsors since it just passed the Senate.
Wow.
So now we're moving on to House Committee and then House, and we'll testify at the House Committee.
Cool. So when and if this bill is passed, what then? How are Purdue students going to learn about the expansion and the protections that it enables them?
Yeah, so often when we talk about the Lifeline Law, we say first step, right, is to expand it because we need protection for the person in need of medical attention because students are going to hesitate in that circumstance if you have to tell them the caveat of the person in need of medical attention not being protected. The second step is education. So often we say this is a policy that without policy awareness, it's as if the policy doesn't exist. Our students need to be educated on this policy so that they know that they can make the call without hesitation in those circumstances. We want them to make the call to save a life.
Have you been involved with any other Purdue organizations that would offer like a marketing strategy to get this in the knowledge of more Purdue students, more widely known?
Yeah, of course. So prior to Purdue Student Government, I was involved in the Residential Hall Association, which is RHA. It's like the governing body of the residence halls. And within that organization, you know, we kind of educated on the current policy and the fact that, you know, the caller is protected, as well as those who assist the caller stay on scene and remain compliant. And we also educated on the caveat that the person in need of medical attention is not protected because we don't want to spread misinformation. But after this gets passed, we will probably use our connections within RHA to make sure that University of Residences is properly educating students on the Lifeline Law because a lot of education is through our RAs when freshmen first arrive on campus, as well as BGR. We'll be working closely with BGR to make sure that happens.
That was going to be my next question, is if you're going to implement any types of events with BGR. Is it just student government in those other schools, or is it other RA programs, RHA programs that you've been working on?
Yeah, so basically the Indiana Lifeline Law would not be in effect today without students 12 years ago. So in 2012, the former Purdue Student Government president, Brett Hiley, comes up with the idea for the Indiana Lifeline Law. He talks to former Senator Merritt and asks him to propose it. Former Senator Merritt agrees, and it passed unanimously without a single no vote on either floor. And we see the current policy today of protection for the caller and those who assist the caller, stay on scene, and remain compliant. Now what Brett did in 2012 is he created a coalition of student governments throughout the state of Indiana to kind of present this united front for advocacy for this bill. And that's what we've done again 12 years later. We have reunited the Indiana Lifeline Law Coalition. We have DePaul on board, we have Valparaiso on board, we have Butler on board, we have Indiana State on board, we have IU on board, we have Marion on board, a whole array of schools that are all fighting for this. And they came to the State House when we testified to the Senate committee. They came on Tuesday when we went, when it hit the entire Senate floor. All there to support this and to show that this is needed for students.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What has been some of the pushback against the expansion of this bill? I can imagine that there's
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so the typical counter-argument to this is, does this encourage or incentivize underage drinking? No, this does not encourage or incentivize underage drinking. You know, students are going to drink regardless of whether this policy is in effect or not. This is not going to increase underage drinking, and we actually have not seen an increase in underage drinking since implementation of medical amnesty policies. So the original Indiana Lifeline Law is adopted in 2012, right? After this, throughout the 2010s, within Indiana, we actually see a 3.9% decrease in underage drinking, right? Okay, similar timeline. So around the similar timeline, early 2010s, the Similar Midwest states also adopted medical amnesty policies, right? And then throughout the Midwest, we also see a decline in reported underage drinking, a 6.2% decrease in underage drinking. So I am telling you, this is not increasing reported underage drinking. It is not encouraging it. It is not incentivizing it. The culture of underage drinking has actually gone down since institution of medical amnesty policies.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That's all the time we have. Thank you again for being our guest, and thank you for watching Washington. See you next time.